It's 6:37. Today marks a turning point for those affected by crime as it's announced that victims and their families will be entitled to read their personal statement aloud in court in front of a judge before offenders are sentenced. Barry Mizen's son Jimmy was murdered in 2008 and this is part of his court statement.
We would like to speak about the character of Jimmy, as so far no information about him has been heard, apart from he came from a loving family. It's been painful to hear him described as a huge young man, an insinuation that he was of an aggressive disposition. He was a fine young man and a pleasure to be with. He was polite and always seemed to be happy. He enjoyed life. His loss is immense, not only to us but to all his friends. Jimmy was the shining star in our family and will always be remembered with a smile. We are so proud to have been his parents. God bless you, Jimmy.
Well, Barry Mizen and Adam Pemberton from Victim Support join us now to discuss this change. Morning to you both.
Morning.
Barry, we just heard you reading out some of your victim's statement there. Was it difficult to read that out again?
I suppose it was, yes. I mean, I actually wrote it in the first place, but yeah, it's still got the power to hit.
And what did it mean to you? Obviously, you didn't read it in court because this was before the changes, but what did it mean to you to hear it read out?
I think it was important. You can understand everything is so surreal. You've never been there before. I mean, everything is just full on. But it was important that we got our side of the story over, if you like. We were sitting in the well of the court where it was welcome to sit there, but you're told you mustn't be looking at the jury or trying to influence the jury. So you have to just sit and listen to what comes out about the victim, without any sort of getting your side of the story. So for us, it was about a chance to get balance. You know, this is what Jimmy was really like. This is the impact it's had. So it's very, very important.
And you would have said more had you had a chance, wouldn't you?
I would have done, John, because within a year, it's full on. You don't understand the full impact. The impact carries on after that trial. So I would understand so much more now. I mean, we as a family are fine, but I think of some of the other people that the impact leads to all sorts of issues of depressions, suicides in some cases. It's actually massive. I mean, we are talking homicide cases here, but a massive impact in some lives.
Yeah. And Adam, I guess what Barry was saying there is the point that by definition in a trial we hear a lot from the defendant. We don't tend to hear the voice of the victim, and is this kind of redressing that balance?
That's right. The Victims Code is so important because it sets out what victims have a right to expect from the criminal justice process. And we know from what victims say to us is that they too often feel like an afterthought and sidelined in the process. So the code as a whole will give a much greater voice to victims in the process, an opportunity to say what it's meant for them. It's very welcome.
I'm sure everyone... Sorry, I'll carry on.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm sure everyone would welcome it, but, you know, just one minor point. Is it right that sentiment and emotion, which inevitably come out in these statements, might influence a judgment of the facts?
Well, I think it's very important that the victim's voice is heard in this process, and as Barry says, often it's not heard at all. It needs to be factored in. The impact that a crime has on a victim, be that practical, emotional, financial, whatever it is, often is the untold story in a court case. And judges will still make decisions on the facts, and they can take this into account. But it's really important that it is heard, and we need to see more of it. And you know, historically, very few people have even been offered the opportunity to make one of these statements. So now that the code actually gives them an opportunity not only to make it, but to have it read out by themselves or someone else, is a real step forward.
Would you have wanted to read it out in court, do you think, yourself, if you could have?
Maybe not then, I certainly would now. Again, it's about balance, isn't it? The more we understand about crime, the impact of crime, the causes of crime, the more we can start to change things. We're not a vindictive family. My wife and myself, we visit prisons, we speak with murderers, we hear the other side of the story. I think it's about getting the truth out there. These are the real issues, these are the causes, these are the outcomes. The more we understand, the better things can be.
Great, thank you very much. Great to hear from you this morning.